from the air appears as little more than strips of sand, the livable areas marked by coconut groves and lush bush. These 33 coral atolls together fit inside New York City, but dot the Central Pacific over an area the width of the continental United States, and are home to 107,000 E. kiribati. Theirs is a story of survival, of understanding what land there is and tapping all of its resources, of living by nature's life force while recognizing its power. Yet the latest scientific findings revealed the island's fate. Within 50 years, kiribati will disappear, swallowed by the ocean's rising sea level. Their president, Anote Tong, is bold in his determination to make known Kiribati's situation.
We don't have a plan to deal with global warming, but I think we have a plan to deal with the impact of global warming on our people. There's nothing we can do about reversing the process. We've screamed, we've shouted at international fora, but with very little effect. But in terms of how we would respond to the impact of climate change, yes, indeed, we do have a number of options. We must have a number of options.
Kiribati's intimate relationship with the environment comes at a price. People live and die by climate constants and change. We in the global north view Kiribati's end as catastrophic, apocalyptic tides overrunning islands in an instant. But in reality, Kiribati's devastation will happen slowly, especially on outer islands, as the E. kiribati landscape and livelihood are eroded by climate change. Salt water contaminates wells and waves overrun seawalls, hampering islanders' attempts in agriculture. Torote is witness to the saltwater devastation on the island of Mayana. His family's babai pits have ceased to produce the traditional tuber.
It's mainly coming over
right now.
Because when it comes over, then it makes the water blackish.
His father, Uriam, tells of the troubles of maintaining seawalls.
You know what I'm karawan pa ng mga kamasin ka kaya ikaw kan kalitake ako tay.
Ato ay gay siya mga tepono ali titani yani kakalo ya le kanga ya biro ko ya ya bus. Ang kay siya nga bunoy. Nga kaya tari. Ana giro ko. Pa dai ga no ko ko tari ko. Ay may ngun kanga.
The sun governs equatorial life, and its intensity is becoming a burden for islanders. Gathering copra, the dried meat of coconuts, provides the sole income for many families. The 4-day process garners roughly $26 for one sack of copra. Now the increasing heat is frustrating people's efforts.
Now it's very hard to get coconuts, okay? Because of the heat. They dry up the coconuts up in the tree, and it's very hard to fall.
The heat is also affecting people's ability to fish. Uriam, who has lived in Kiribati for all of his 78 years, has noticed a change in the weather never before seen.
Mainam ko gan ko na ko yan jadi nga egi pesiti ka bu ang kay nga ko na ko yan jadi nga ya pun nga ya ko pun na gina ka kay na nung ni ang dai ko pun ko na mina yan jadi nga ni gani ang kay ko na magin nga ko nakaw ko na ko maguri wa bun si mo nga ko na gina ba ka bu ya ko ngayon juga kita na bang kita ng kanya Kiribati taon lang ako Amerika ke Australia New Zealand.
So I hesitate to call our people refugees. We would train them, and they would become people who would contribute to whatever country they attractive place to choose to live in, and with meaningful lives.
Until their exodus, most people on outer islands can move back from the shore, away from the rising tides. But on the capital island of Tarawa, such a choice is not so easy.
The outer islands don't suffer the same sort of population pressure that South Tarawa would, and so they have that option to move back if they are so threatened. But in South Tarawa, with very little space, those living on the edge would seriously feel the impact of any sea level rise.
The Kiribati treasure their land, but the urban draw of Tarawa translates into overcrowded towns and severe overpopulation. People give up a traditional subsistence lifestyle for a more modern life in Tarawa. Kaure Babo, along with Tarawa's other 50,000 residents, witnessed the recent disappearance of their favorite lagoon island, Bikeman. Once a place for picnics and a local hangout accessible by boat, the island now sits barren, mostly submerged.
They call it Debenware, the land of the royal.
This all used to be land.
Yes, yes. What do you mean by land?
Meaning, even at high tide, this was above.
Yes, unfortunately, we have coconuts, bandanas, all kinds of shrubs, vegetation.
When did it go under?
As soon as we had that causeway, but not as soon as, but when the causeway was in, then the piece was eroding, piece by piece, and tree by tree, they went down.
Kaure elucidates one of the main problems with researching environmental degradation. It is so entwined with the consequences of development, sometimes it is difficult to distinguish the two.
That's the price we pay for development. We pay a high price. Sad. So true. But guess what? With this causeway, we cut the time to get to Beso by an hour.
Because you used to take a canoe, right?
And ferry.
A ferry.
Yeah. The landing craft, the tapakia, the yaus, you name it, they just jump on it and they go across. But now, you just, 60 miles per hour, you're there in minutes. And so it's good for the business, but it's not good for Kiribati. Trees are coming up again.
Maybe there's hope.
Well, there's always hope. We're optimistic. We are the optimistic people.
Bikeman stands as a symbol in the middle of Tarawa Lagoon. Most Kiribati know that evacuation is an imminent reality, but as Torote reveals, few have processed the implications of this departure.
Well, most of them will try to adapt, but then of course they will adapt to how much they can, and then if things are beyond them, then they will start looking elsewhere.
President Tong conveys the problems in Kiribati on an individual level.
But at the end of the day, we've got to be very realistic as to the level of affluence we can accumulate without damaging the rest. I think there has to come a time when this is enough, I'm quite comfortable, I will be all right until the end of my life, rather than continue to accumulate wealth at the cost to other people who will suffer and pay the ultimate price.
The spirit of the Kiribati exists despite the inevitable consequences of global warming. While it may be too late to save the islands of Kiribati, it is not yet too late to heed President Tong's warning and change our climate culpability to responsibility.